Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Hi Robert, how are you today, this evening? Whereabouts are you? See where I'm chatting to people. Yeah, how's everyone doing? So today I'm just going to be going over the LUT releases. So I released some LUTs for the Pocket 2, D-Cinelike to color correct D-Cinelike footage. And so I'm going to be going over those and just doing a bit of a live edit just to do a demo to show you guys how they work. And then just going through like what's been happening on the channel in the last couple of weeks and stuff that's coming up as well. It's going to be videos that I'm going to be putting out in the next couple of weeks as well. So yeah, the first thing. A couple of weeks ago, so after the last live stream, I put out some videos one specific video, which was about like how to plan your YouTube videos. And so check that one out. It basically just goes through a few tips and tricks, kind of like writing lists and shot lists and scripts and that kind of thing. So yeah, have a look at that. That's going to be really helpful if you're struggling to just figure out how to actually put your videos together and do them in a way so that you're not shooting too much footage or not enough footage and that kind of thing. So that goes into a lot of detail in that. The other videos that I put out were just ones which are more so to do with like basic camera settings and how to just set your camera up for the best possible way to shoot footage. And so the first one was the exposure triangle. So just explaining that, most of you might know what this is already, and I'm sure most of you do because you shoot video. But yeah, just putting those three elements together and really knowing what they mean and how they work together. So that was one of the other videos. And then the white balance video. So one of the things that I learned, which really helped me when I first started not just filming video, but also taking photos, was just learning how to get my white balance like correct in camera first time. And so that video explains like the really fun, the really simple way of doing it, which is basically to do with your scene and your lighting and that kind of thing. So have a look at that. Hey Geeksvana, hey Sean, how you doing? So yeah, have a look at that video. And then also, so DJI released a new version of their Pocket 2, which, it's okay. It's, I was a little bit disappointed because it's a nice looking, it's a nice color, but I feel like they kind of missed a trick because they've only got you don't have the wireless transmitter with it. You have the dual handle. But one of the great things about the creator combo was the fact that you actually got that wireless transmitter. So if you wanted to film somebody else, then you had that option to do that. But if you wanted to go for the white version, you wouldn't necessarily have that option because you wouldn't have the wireless transmitter in it. So I feel like, it was a cool release, but at the same time, it was kind of just, it was a bit of an odd one, bit of a random one. So yeah, if you are looking to get the Pocket 2 and you have seen the sunset white version, I would definitely, I personally would still go for the classic black creator combo because I think that you just get so much in it. And it's a really good price for what you do get with it. So yeah, I definitely look at the creator combo for that. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about was the LUTs that I released. So they work perfectly with the Pocket 2, the D-Cinelike footage. And for D-Cinelike footage, you want to be, you want to shoot in that color profile to just get the most out of your footage as possible, especially if you want to color grade the footage as well and color correct the footage. So shooting in D-Cinelike is really great. And these LUTs are cool because you can literally just put your footage into your editing software, drop the LUTs on, and then you're pretty much good to go. So these ones are just corrective LUTs. So there's no There's no grading LUTs at the moment. You know, the LUTs that kind of make your footage have a certain feel, a certain look. So those ones are going to be coming out at a later date, but at the moment you can get them on Selfie. So this is where you can pick them up. There's a link in the description to this page, so have a look at that if you're interested in those LUTs. So for this live stream, I'm basically going to be showing you how they work, and you can just see how they work in real time. I've got a few different clips that I'm going to be putting the LUTs on so that you can see them with different clips. And some of them, well, most of the clips are the ones that were shown in this video, but it just gives you an idea of how you can actually just apply them. And if you need to do any just little tweaks to the footage, then I'll show you how to do that, especially if you didn't quite get your white balance right, or you just wanted to change the color of some of the footage as well, just in certain like highlights or midtones and shadows and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm going to jump into Premiere and hope that you can. So it's been a bit weird at the moment. Hey Paul, how's it going? Let me see if I can just. I'm just going to try and change my settings for this because you can't see. Can you see? I don't think you can see the actual footage here. It looks a bit messed up. So give me 2 seconds and I'll try and fix that. How are you doing, Paul? I'm going to get you on after this, and because I know you've got a question that you want to ask, and I thought it'd be quite cool to do it live. So I sent Paul a link to the live stream, so he's going to hop on the live stream at some point, and we're just going to have a little chat about a question that he has, and just give him a bit of help on it and a bit of advice. So I'm just going to try and sort out Premiere because it's gone a bit weird. Hope I can get it back. Okay. Okay, so this is a bit frustrating. So I still don't think you can see the footage, can you? Can you guys see the footage? Hey, Travels with Rosie, how's it going? So the footage should be showing up here, but I don't think you guys can see it at the moment. Let me just try something else. Sorry, guys. I know this is a bit boring. Hopefully, you should be able to see this. You should be able to see this now. Yeah, cool. Cool. So okay, wicked. You can all see it now. Okay, so I have so yeah, I've got a few clips on the timeline, and so I've got this one, which is a little bit overexposed here in the highlights, but it was an overcast day, so it's kind of difficult to not overexpose that footage when you're trying to shoot and trying to get the exposure right for the rest of the scene. And so, sorry, I just have to fix another thing now. Okay, cool. So yeah, so this clip in particular is a little bit overexposed here in the highlights, but as I was saying, yeah, it's a bit difficult to correctly expose everything when you've got a sky which is overcast, and it's always going to be blown out in most cases unless you make the rest of the footage, if you bring it down a bit. But one of the things that you want to do with D-Cinelike footage is actually shoot it a little bit overexposed, because when you apply the corrections, whether you use a LUT or whether you just do this yourself, it's always going to bring the exposure down a little bit. So you want to just make sure that you are overexposing a little bit, but not to the point where it's going to clip most of the footage and the highlights. So what I mean by that is, if I just show you, so this is some footage that I shot indoors. And this might be a little bit small. Let me just bring it in a bit. Not that much. So with this, I've got my histogram here, and there's a few places where it could get blown out, like this window here behind me, my t-shirt, because it's white, and just here underneath the blinds here as well. And so one of the things that you want to do is, even though you are overexposing, you want to try and keep your histogram away from the edge so that it's not actually touching the edge, but you want to make sure that it's as far over to the right as possible so that you're getting as much dynamic range in your shot as possible, and that will stop your image from being too underexposed when you start correcting the footage. So I will just show you some of the settings here. So for example, this I would class as being underexposed, shooting in D-Cinelike, because the histogram is more to the left-hand side, and then also you can see it is underexposed. The EV meter shows it's minus 0.7. And so if you were to apply the LUT or any corrections onto this, it would look quite dark. Let me just zoom back out. So yeah, so the footage goes back to being quite dark. So what you want to do is just try and expose it so that the footage is coming more to this right hand side. And so that just basically means that you're not going to have, your footage isn't going to look too dark when you start to correct it. So this, I was shooting at ISO 800, which is too much because I'm starting to get some clipping, and the highlights are starting to be blown out of my t-shirt, my forehead here in the window. But even if you do shoot a little bit too far over, you can still bring your highlights down in post. So you can just sort of bring this back. There will be times where it's just not recoverable. So the window, that information's gone, and you can see kind of here in the scopes, in the waveforms, that it's kind of a flat line at this point. This is where the window is. And that's just basically means that that highlight is basically irrecoverable. But yeah, in a nutshell, because I feel like I'm waffling, you just want to make sure that you're definitely exposing more towards that right-hand side, and just try to avoid clipping it when it gets to that right-hand side. So yeah, so that's that. I'm just going to jump back over to check you guys' comments, because I haven't got them up at the same time. Okay, so the first one is this clip. So I'm just going to drop one of the LUTs on. So there's a normal LUT, a strong LUT, and a vivid LUT. So these just give you a different kind of look to the footage. If you want something which is a little bit flatter, because you want it to look, if you were shooting with a different camera, for example, so I shoot with my A7 III a lot, I'd use the normal look because it gives me a little bit of a flatter profile to work with to try and match the footage to the A7 III. So if you want to have that flexibility of trying to match footage, then using the normal LUT is really good for that. Or if you just like the look of having something which is a little bit flatter, then that's also a really good one to use. It just gives it a little bit of a more natural feel as well, because colors in real life aren't that vivid. So so there's that one, and then also the strong one, which just gives you a little bit more contrast. So if you just want that bit of extra contrast, and then the vivid one, which works really nicely for things like foliage, and if you like in forest or woods or that kind of thing, that one works really well just to give it a bit more, just to make the colors pop a little bit more. And even though I did white balance this scene pretty accurately, I still don't like the way that it's a little bit on the warmer side. So what I would tend to do is in my color wheels, I just change some of the colors in the midtones and the highlights. So I probably bring those back down towards blue for the midtones, and then again in the highlights, just to give it a little bit less of a warm look. So that's that clip. And then again, same thing with this. So this one is actually a little bit overexposed in the sense that the sky is a little bit blown out here, which is irrecoverable. But it's a bit of a trade-off, because I wanted to have the foreground more, I wanted to have the foreground lighter. So I was I was cool with blowing out the sky, because again, that wasn't necessarily an overcast day on that day, but I didn't mind the sky being a bit blown out there. So for this, I would probably drop a strong LUT on just so that it has a bit of a pop to it. And because the leaves here are a little bit, they have quite a strong highlight, I could just bring my highlights down either here, or I could do it in the color wheels. So I could just bring the highlights down here, which just takes a bit of the shine off the leaves. And same thing again here, it looks fine. I'd be happy with that. But at the same time, I think adding just a little bit, taking a bit of the yellow away would really work well for this clip. So I'm just going to put a bit of blue into the highlights and the midtones, and then put a bit of green into the shadows. And this, so using the color wheels and also using the wheels up here is a really good way to grade your footage. So if you want to, after you've color corrected and you put your corrective LUTs on, if you wanted to actually give your footage a certain look and a certain consistent look, then this is where you would go and just tweak that and just, give it whatever look you wanted to have. And so the next clip is this one. This one's a little bit underexposed, so I definitely had more room to push the exposure up. So if you're looking at your histogram and most of your waveforms are towards the 100 rather than towards 0, then that means that you're more exposed. And if it's more towards 0, then it means you're underexposed. So this one is, if I was shooting in a normal color profile, this would actually be fine. But because it is D-Cinelike and you're going to lose, not lose the dynamic range, but the dynamic range is going to come down a bit when you start correcting the footage. It is a bit underexposed for D-Cinelike, but that's okay, because I could either, before I put the LUT on, I could just bring the exposure up a little bit, just watching the waveform, making sure that it's not completely touching the 100 mark. So maybe around there. And then I could then add my LUT on top of that. And if I also wanted to just bring out some of the exposure in the midtones, for example, because it looks a little bit on the dark side, I could just bring my midtones up a bit. And that's it. That's all I'd have to do for that one. So that looks pretty cool. I'd be happy with that. And then so this one, same thing again. This one's actually a little bit overexposed because of the white on the house. But again, that's okay, because the rest of the scene would have just been too dark if I had brought the exposure down anymore. But again, just dropping the LUT on there, I'm going to go for a strong one. And that's pretty much it. I probably wouldn't actually do anything else with that clip. I'd just leave it as it is, apart from maybe adding a bit more just tweaking the colors and stuff. But that's pretty much how it looked at that time of day. I think it was about 7:30 in the evening, so that's pretty accurate for that time of day. And then this was actually at sunset, so it's going to have a bit of a warmer color tone to it. But again, this one's actually really well exposed. It's closer to the 100, more away from the 0, and it's not actually touching the 100 line, which is great. So there aren't any areas in here that are clipped. So I'm going to drop let's go for a normal, see what that looks like. And that looks pretty cool. I'd be happy with that. And yeah, again, this is sunset, so the light levels and everything are perfect for that time of day. And that looks pretty good. And then if I change it to the strong one, that's what it would look like. One of the things that I would say is, so there are 3 in here, and let me just show you what the vivid one would look like on here. So that just gives you, again, more color. But the one thing that I would say about the vivid LUT is to not use it in situations where you have people in the frame, because it will make people's skin tones look unnatural. It works great for things like foliage and forestry and that kind of thing. But if you have people in the frame, then I would suggest, if you wanted more contrast in the pop, then just use the strong LUT instead of the vivid one, because the skin tones will look a little bit off. And then, so this one, again, this one is overexposed, and it's mainly the sun on the car here and also the building back here. But because this was basically in the middle of the day, it was like, I think it was around 12 o'clock, 12:30, and it was really bright. So that's kind of unavoidable. You're never going to get your exposure exactly perfect in most situations when you're shooting in the middle of the day and the sun's right in the middle of the sky and really bright. So you just have to accept that some things are just going to be a little bit blown out, but it's not going to look horrendous. So I'd be happy with that. Just dropping that LUT on there. And that's what that one looks like. And then here's the last one. So again, there's a lot of white in here, and the van is a little bit overexposed, and I think more so on the arm of this t-shirt here. Same time of day as the clip before, but still, if I drop the LUT on, let's go for a normal one. It still looks pretty decent, and the t-shirt is blown out a little bit on the shoulders, but otherwise it looks pretty decent. Skin tones look good as well, accurate. So yeah, that's basically how the LUTs are and how the LUTs work. No video again. You're not showing your screen. Sorry. Okay. At what point did Right, I'm going to go through and do this all again. Sorry, guys. Let me go back to... See, this is why I need to make a conscious effort to actually check my messages whilst I'm doing this. I can't multitask. I'm just rubbish at multitasking. So let me just revert all these back really quickly. Okay. Okay, cool. So this is the one that I was talking about being overexposed on the leaves. You can see me, cool. This is one I was talking about being overexposed on the leaves, and just being able to bring the highlights in a little bit just to take some of the sheen off of the leaves here. And then talking about the sky here being overexposed, you can see here where it's touching the 100 line. That shows that your footage is clipped in some parts. But drop the LUT on there. Let's do the vivid one, and that looks pretty decent. And then again here, this is where I was just saying about adding a bit of blue into the scene, because the midtones are a little bit on the warm side, and then the highlights also on the warm side. So I'll just bring a bit of blue into those ones. And then the other clip that I mentioned was this one being a little bit underexposed, because it had more room to go up to this 100 line here. And And this one, again, what I was saying was that if I had shot in the normal profile, then it would be perfectly exposed. It's very even in the scopes, but because it's D-Cinelike, it would need to be pushed up a little bit more. So just bringing up the exposure before you add the correction is a really good way of doing it, or you can do it after if you're using the LUTs. So I'm just going to do it before and just make sure that I'm not getting too close, i.e. not having the rest of the clips touching. And then I'm going to drop the LUT on there. I'll go for the strong LUT, and that's what that one looks like. And this scene, I'm going to just bring some of the highlights down a little bit, just on the leaves there. But again, this looks accurate to how it was when I was there. This was kind of a bit of a shaded area by the bridge. So yeah, again, happy with that one. And then thanks, Paul. And so this one, so yeah, on the house, there's a lot of white on the house. And so what I was saying with this one again is that I didn't want to underexpose more, because I didn't want the scene to look too, I didn't want the scene to look too dark. So I was quite happy to just overexpose to the point where the whites are kind of touching up on the line here, because there's not a lot of detail in the rest of the house anyway that you would have missed. So again, I could bring my highlights down anyway a little bit, but before I do that, I'm just going to apply the LUT, and I'm just going to go with the strong LUT on this one. And again, that doesn't bother me because there's no detail in this bit of the house anyway, so I wasn't really bothered. And as I said before, this was shot at about 7:30 in the evening, so again, really accurate to how the colors and the lights look at that time of night or evening. And then this one was the sunset one. So this was shot around, I think it was about 8 or 7:30 maybe in the evening. And so again, this one is perfectly exposed. It's not touching the 100, well, a little bit of it is touching the 100 line, but otherwise the rest of it is perfectly exposed in between those two lines. So I wouldn't really do anything else to this in terms of exposure. I just drop the LUT on there, and I'm going to go with the strong LUT. And yeah, and that looks pretty good. I would also just add a little bit of blue in the midtones, just because it's a little bit warm for me. But again, that's just accurate because that's just what sunset is like. But yeah, that's what I would do for that clip. And I'll show you what it looks like with the normal LUT as well. So it's a little bit softer and it's a little bit flatter, but yeah. So that's that one. And then this one, as I was mentioning about this car here, this is where it's blown out a little bit. This is where it's overexposed. Again, you can see it's touching here. So at this point, this is where the car is and the house is, and a bit of the clouds as well. So again, being that it was middle of the day, like midday, so it was always going to be difficult to try and correctly expose the scene so that it wasn't too dark without clipping something. So where the sun was basically hitting it directly. So it's always going to happen, and it's just something that you just have to be mindful of and just be aware of. And it's not the end of the world if that happens. It's just what it is. So with this one, I'm going to drop the normal LUT on so that you can see that's what it looks like. And then I'll drop the strong LUT on, and that's what it looks like with the strong LUT. I'll drop the vivid one as well so you can see what it looks like with that. Again, it just brings out the blue in the sky and whatnot. And then last one, this is what I was talking about with the t-shirt and the shoulder being white and a bit blown out. But again, being the same time of day, that was kind of unavoidable. And so for this one, I'm going to drop the normal one so you can see, and that looks pretty decent. And then also the strong LUT as well, so you can see that. And what I was saying about the skin tones as well. So if you look at these guys here, try and get a frame where it's not so blurry. But if you were to go for the vivid look, which I wouldn't recommend for skin tones because they would look kind of unnatural, you can just see that they're looking a little bit more orange and a little bit more pink here. So like I said, the vivid LUT is definitely for things like if you're shooting in the forest and you don't have anyone in your frame, or you don't necessarily see their skin because they're walking away from the camera or something like that. So just be mindful of that for the vivid one. It works great with like forests and that kind of thing, but just not on people. So the strong LUT looks perfect, and also the normal LUT also looks great. So so yeah, that is how they work. And yeah, you can just pick them up on Selfie. There's a link in the description to that. And channel members also get LUTs for a discount. So if you are a channel member, then you'll be able to see in the members only area on YouTube the discount codes, and also in the Discord server. And one of the things that I'm also planning on doing, I think my camera's just gone off. One of the things that I'm planning on doing is releasing some grading LUTs as well. I'm just going to reset my camera because it's gone off. I think it's just overheated again. I still need to find a solution to... okay, there we go. Actually, no, it hadn't overheated. It just timed out. But yeah, so they're the LUTs, and yeah, you can pick them up. So hey, JSK Enterprise, how's it going? So Paul, do you want to jump on and we can have a little discussion about what about the question that you sent me earlier in the week, and let's see how this works. I've actually never done this. I've not done this before, having someone on, so this is a completely different experience. I think with your with the invite link, I'll just drop it here again anyway. And actually, anybody can jump in and join on if you want to ask any questions and you want to do it live. You know, feel free. So I'll just drop the link in here. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I mean, again, if you have any questions, like when you do pick up the LUTs, then just drop me an email. My email address is on the site somewhere, or just drop me a message on the contact us page. But yeah, let me know what you think about them when you use them. And one of the things that I actually forgot to mention was that one of the videos that I'm going to be putting out next week is to do with shooting indoors with the Pocket 2, because I know that not everyone shoots outdoors, and even though the Pocket 2 footage looks amazing outdoors because you can really get your exposure perfect, indoors you just have to be mindful of the low light and just introducing lights. So I'm going to be talking about that next week, because I know that some people do want to film indoors with it and aren't quite getting the results that they want with it. So I'm going to go through that in a video next week. But yeah, if I don't know if you are still around, Paul, or if you can join, if you can. I'm just seeing if any notifications have popped up. So how's everyone doing this evening? It's so hot. I feel like I'm just melting at the moment. We'll do videos. Help me to convince to pick up the Pocket 2. So this is it. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad. Oh, cool. Okay, so Paul's joining. Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. 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 Testing. Testing.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Hi. Hi. I'm not sure if there's a delay, so excuse me if there is.
No, not on my end anyway. But I can't see. I don't know if you've got your video on because I can't see you.
Okay. Oh no, I'm not going video.
Okay, that's fine. That's cool.
I'm not.
So
I'm not that brave.
that's fine. So I'm not sure if. Oh, hang on a second.
To repeat my
Oh, there we
question.
go. Yeah. So just yeah, just repeat your question for us, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay. So the question that I emailed Tamara was basically I was asking her whether she offered any editing support for Premiere Pro because I've got so much B-roll and for my project, which is a skateboarding project, and I just feel a bit overwhelmed that I've got so much B-roll and not knowing where to really begin. So I thought, if it's something which you offer that you are able to upload just small snippets, or maybe you take control of the screen, and just to give us a bit of advice where to begin your B-roll editing. That was my question.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I would say is before you had an idea of what you wanted to shoot before you started shooting, I'm guessing. So, or was it just you
Sorry,
went
can you
out one
repeat the
day?
question?
So before you started shooting the footage that you got, did you have an idea of the video that you wanted to put together? Or was it just, you kind of just went out to shoot something?
Yes. It's mainly a test video. Osmo Osmo 2, and I just really just saw some kids skateboarding, and I just wanted to try and put together some a day in the life of a skateboarder, for example.
Okay. So with your footage, did you speak to any of them or did you just film them skateboarding?
It was mainly shooting the actual skateboarders, and I did get to speak to some of them and did do a few close-ups of the skateboards, the wheels spinning on the skateboard, a bit of graffiti around the skateboard park. Yeah, and since then, I've gone back to the skateboard park area and I've done some B-roll shots of just some, just the journey up to the skateboard park, some shots of the train, for example, how to get there, just establishing shots as well. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So one of the things that you could do, even though, so the planning video that I put up a couple of weeks ago would help with this because you can still do it retroactively, is you can have a look at all the footage that you have and just start thinking of the story that you want to build. So this would actually work quite well because you have all this footage that you shot that you can look through, and because you were obviously there on the day, you know what you've already filmed, so you can sort of start to put some bullet points together as to just thinking about the story that you want to tell with that footage. And in terms of,
Yeah.
obviously you wouldn't necessarily write a shot list, but because you have all your footage, you could start to organize it in a way that you would have written a shot list. So just naming your clips in a specific way that lets you know what that clip is, so that when you come to put all your clips together, it's a lot easier to find those clips. So for example, if you had a shot, an establishing shot or an opening shot of the whole skate park, and then you had some close-ups of the kids that were skating, and then you said you got some graffiti around the area as well, you could start to think about maybe even with that, just the start to finish of the kids skating. So the story could be something like, I don't know, the kids are, you've landed at this place, and you've seen these kids skating, so you're just showing the surrounding areas as the opening shots, and then you're getting in closer to showing the kids, not necessarily warming up, but just like starting to do the skating and then start doing their tricks. And then I don't know if you've got any footage of them kind of winding down and finishing the skating, but you could just kind of think of it as a process of skating and putting it together as a story like that, maybe. So yeah, that's one way of doing it. And then also, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask you also, so with all the footage that I have, is it a good idea to just basically import all of your footage at once and then start chopping it up into the order? I mean, I suppose you're going back to the storyboard then, following the storyboard once you've put your footage in your timeline. Well, not necessarily on the timeline, but imported, then start putting it onto your timeline.
Yeah. So one of the things that I do first, because I do like to just bring all the footage in and then I'll just chop it up as I'm working through it. But I do tend to just sift out all the clips that I know that I'm not going to use. So anything that just didn't kind of make the cut in terms of the angle wasn't right, or it came out blurry, or anything like that, I just kind of cut those clips. Well, I put those clips to one side. I just put them in another folder, and then I'll bring in all the other clips, just bring everything in. Even though you're not necessarily going to use all the clips in the video, but it just gives you that flexibility to just have it all in one place. That's how I prefer to work anyway, just have it all in one place. And then I don't know what editing software do you use?
Premiere Pro. And
okay, cool.
It's a bit annoying because I'm paying for a subscription and I'm not using it, so I need to kind of get on with it now.
Yeah. So once you've imported it into Premiere Pro, I don't know if you know that it has this like highlight feature where you can kind of scrub through the clip without necessarily playing through it, just by dragging your mouse across the clip before you actually import it into Premiere. So in fact, let me just show you quickly.
So I didn't catch the last bit you said. Just got.
So
I did hear about. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to open Premiere and just show you. Where have I got some footage? Okay, so you guys can see my screen, yeah? Okay, so yeah, in Premiere it has this handy little feature which you can just scrub the mouse from left to right and you can just see exactly what's in the clip. And so one of the things that I do tend to do is just use this in Premiere so I don't have to watch through the whole clip, and it just makes the sifting process a lot quicker, rather than, double clicking and then going through and watching the clip. I can just, which you can do, you can just scrub through it really quickly. But just having this feature where you can just literally just go from left to right on the clip and just see what's in it just gives you a quicker way of just going through the footage. And so at this point, I will again go through all the clips like this, and then I'll just bring the clips into my folder, into my project bin, bring all the clips that I want to bring in that way. And then I'll just start to, before I put the clips on the timeline, I will then go through and say, okay, I want to grab this bit, and then I want to grab this bit, and then I'll start to bring stuff onto the timeline. And at this point, I'm not necessarily making the video in terms of everything being perfect. It's just getting those clips onto the timeline in the order that I want them to be in. So yeah, so just having it in the order that you want the clips to be in on the timeline, and then you can start cutting it down to the duration that you want it to be based on the music that you're using, or if you have any like voiceovers. So if you spoke to anyone and you want to put the voiceovers in there as well, and just start cutting it in that way. But just getting all the B-roll footage in one long chunk as the story you want to tell just really help to do that. I don't know if that helps, or if I just waffled.
No, but, I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And thanks for coming on and having a chat. It's quite cool doing this.
Yeah, thank you for the warning too.
No worries. Well, I will just drop me an email if you need any more help, and I can I can have a chat. So
many thanks.
But yeah,
thank you.
Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye. So yeah, that was cool. So if anyone else ever wants to join on a live stream, I'll drop the stream link in the comments in the beginning of the stream, or put it in the description. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to share with you guys this evening. Just what has been going on the channel, and show you the LUTs and stuff. And so what I've got coming up in the next couple of weeks. So as I mentioned in the last live stream, I'm going to be doing streams every 2 weeks on a Friday. And also next week, I've got a live stream with Geeks Varna. So do check that out. We're going to be just talking about stuff to do with drones and getting good footage with drones and stuff like that. So do come along and check that out. I'll put a link up when we've got it all set up and whatnot. So yeah. And I've also been thinking about, so I don't do this very often, but I've been thinking about doing some vlogs lately, because earlier this week I put a video up where I just did a very short cinematic with the Pocket 2 and the Mini 2. And I just wanted to just go out and just shoot something and just fly, not necessarily doing a tutorial video or anything. Like, I do enjoy doing this, but I just wanted to go out and just put something together, something really quick. I had like an hour to just go out and just do something. So I was thinking about doing more of those, but as a vlog as well, so that there'd be those little cinematic pieces mixed in with a vlog as well. So I have done a few vlogs before in the past, and I don't actually know what made me stop doing them, to be honest, because they were quite fun to do. But that's something that I've been thinking of potentially picking up and doing again. So yeah, have a look out, because there might be some vlog cinematic videos coming up on the channel as well. So the other thing that I mentioned as well was doing a live quiz, which I've been rubbish at trying to organize and just, get together. But I really do want to do that, because I think it'd be a really cool thing to do and a really fun thing to do during one of the live streams. Just, have it really interactive with you guys and just have a bit of fun and just chill out and do that. So that is something that I'm going to put together and work on in the next, maybe for the next live stream, or just as a random live stream one evening. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I'll let you know in the community tab when that one's going to be. But yeah, so that's what I've got coming up. For the members that are on the channel, we've got our live video call next week, next Friday, and it's going to be between 8 and 9, 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Friday the 30th. So looking forward to chatting to you guys. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically just a way for me to chat with all the members live, face-to-face on video, and just talk about anything and just chat about anything. So if that's something that you're interested in, then you can check out channel memberships. There's a join button on my channel. If you click on that, it'll just give you the lowdown on what the perks are and stuff. At the moment, I've just got one perk on there, which is, you know, the members only video chats, and then there's a Discord server where you can just chat with me pretty much anytime, because I'm always on Discord. And so that's really cool to do. And then, oh, my camera's gone off again. So yeah, have a look at that if that's something that you're interested in. But yeah, that's okay, cool. I don't know why it keeps going off. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So Max says, I'd love to see your film more shorts with Pocket 2, really see how you can use it for different genres or different cinematography you can pull off with that kit. Yeah, that's something that I really want to do with the Pocket 2, actually. Like I said, with the last little cinematic short that I did, which was just, you know, I literally just went out really quickly and just shot some stuff because it was a really nice day. And I just went for a little walk and I just thought, oh, you know, I'll bring my Pocket 2 and my Mini 2. But yeah, definitely going to do some more of that. I was also thinking of shooting maybe a little short film for the Pocket 2, like an actual little short, just to see what it would look like, just to see how it would be, because I'm very particular with like different like focal lengths and camera angles and stuff, and so it'd be really interesting to try and actually shoot a short film with the Pocket 2. So I definitely going to do more like little shorts with the Pocket 2. And vlogging with it and doing those little cinematics as well in different environments and locations as well, as much as traveling will permit me with work and stuff. But yeah, I'll definitely do that. The other thing that I'm going to be another video that I'm going to be putting out about the Pocket 2 next week, because somebody did ask about filming interviews with the Pocket 2. Because one of the things that they mainly do on their channels is like interview style videos, and then someone else also does like documentary style videos, and they want to choose the Pocket 2 for that. And you know, nothing wrong with that. The Pocket 2 is awesome. So I want to give some tips on the best way to do that with lighting and stuff, and just to get the most out of the Pocket 2, because I think it's a great camera, and you know, if that's the camera that you have, then you can shoot some really cool stuff with it. So that's another video that I'm going to be putting out in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, so that's what's coming up. So Travels with Rosie says, editing with the other half this evening. How are we all doing? I'm good. I'm hot and melting at the moment. Really, really hot. So but it's been nice to have the nice sunshine, so I can't complain, because I do like summer. It's my best season, my favorite season. So yeah, can't complain. So Paul, Photography Show 2021. Yep, I'm definitely going, and I really need to book my hotel because I haven't done that yet. And I feel like, well, where are we now? July, end of July. Yeah, time is getting on, so I really need to book my hotel, because I'm actually going to be going for a couple of days. And yeah, I've sorted out my tickets already, so I'm definitely going, and I cannot wait. Would I recommend the DJI Pocket 2 over the Canon M50? Honestly, I haven't used the M50, so I couldn't tell you with I couldn't say, because I haven't used the M50. I've heard the M50 is a really good camera, but I guess it just depends on budget. How much is the M50 and what you want to shoot. I haven't used Canon cameras for quite a while now, because I use Sony cameras. But so the M50 is around about the same price as the Pocket 2. Yeah, I think it really just depends on, it's just going to depend on a lot of things, really. The quality, and also the great thing about the Pocket 2, depending on what you're going to be filming, is just how small it is. It's just so compact. And so if you want something which is just going to literally go in your pocket, sometimes I just put this in my back pocket of my jeans. If you want something which is just going to be really small, and you're just going to be filming yourself, then I'd always recommend the Pocket 2. But if you want something that gives you a little bit more, if you want something that gives you a little bit more flexibility to have different focal lengths and produce shallow depth of field and all that kind of thing, and just have interchangeable lenses, then picking up something like the M50 would probably be the best bet if that's something that you're looking at. But again, I haven't used the M50, so I wouldn't be 100% sure on that. But yeah, so I think I'm going to go and get some food because I'm really hungry and my camera is just keeps going off again. Yeah, I think it's... Yeah, it's just getting hot. It's definitely overheating, so that's my cue. So have I tried accessories with the Pocket 2 on the Pocket 1? My experience, the new freewell lens attached weakly to the Pocket 1. It's usable, but you have to be really careful. I haven't actually used the Pocket 1. I never had the Pocket 1 to begin with, so I couldn't say. Yeah, I've never used one, so I wouldn't be able to say. I know that those lenses are compatible for both, but it's it just depends on which specific ones. If it actually said, I'm not sure which lenses you're using. Is it the wide angle lens and the anamorphic lens for the Pocket 2? Because I think those ones are compatible with the Pocket 1, but again, I couldn't say because I don't have the Pocket 1. Be really interesting to see what the Pocket 3 comes out to be, though, and when that comes out. I'd probably get it, and just so that I could compare it between that and this one. But I'd love this little thing. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I do, but I find myself using it quite a lot. Just going out and just shooting, like for behind the scenes as well, just shooting behind the scenes, it's just perfect. And just what I wanted, to have something which was going to have decent quality. Oh, camera's overheating. Decent quality and a gimbal and decent audio as well. Yeah, my camera's overheating. It's so hot in here. So, anamorphic lens and wide angle lens with the ND filters. Yeah, so I know that it says that they're compatible with the Pocket 1, like they're cross compatible, but yeah, I haven't got a Pocket 1, so I don't know. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. It's been really cool showing you guys the alerts and having a chat. And thanks, Paul, for joining live as well. It's really nice to have a chat. So yeah, that's something that I'll do in the next live streams as well, if anyone ever wants to join and just ask questions live and just talk live as well. So yeah, but thank you guys for joining, and I'll see you in the next live stream. Have a good evening.